Also tonight, we are waiting to hear from President Obama some 12 years after he wowed the crowds at the Democratic National Convention with the vision of one America. President Obama tonight speaks again, this time to a country more divided and more discouraged than any time in recent history, according to the polls. Here's some of what he had to say when he first burst onto the national scene back in 2004.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America. The pundits like to slice and dice our country into red states and blue states, red states for Republicans, blue states for Democrats. But I've got news for them, too. We worship an awesome God in the blue states, and we don't like federal agents poking around in our libraries in the red states.
Wow. Just over 4 years later, he became president. Tonight, it is his turn to pass the torch. But he'll be speaking to a very different America than he did 12 or even 8 years ago. An America that appears to be deeply divided, politically and racially. A recent New York Times poll found 69% believe race relations are generally bad in America. Levels we have not seen since the 1992 LA riots. And a far cry from 2009 when this president took office and 66% of Americans thought race relations were generally good. Look at those numbers. Reversed. Of course, there's the electorate who are not exactly thrilled with their presidential choices right now. Pew Research says just 43% of Democrats and 40% of Republicans are satisfied with the candidates at the moment. Many want neither. And just about a week ago, a Wall Street Journal poll found Americans have been disheartened for so long about the nation's course that nearly 3/4 of voters believe the nation has gone off on the wrong track. Not the hopeful vision that Mr. Obama described in 2004. I want to bring in Charles Krauthammer now, a Fox News contributor and syndicated columnist. Charles, what a 12 years it's been for that then young man, Barack Obama, who went on to become our president and did not quite achieve the dream he spoke of in 2004.
Well, I think there's a certain irony in his accusing the pundits of slicing and dicing America. I think he contributed quite a lot to that, not so much along ethnic or racial lines, although there was some of that, but mostly along social and class lines. He certainly indulged in that in his campaigns, setting class against class, demonizing Republicans, demonizing conservatives. So I fault him for that. I fault him also for, on the racial issue, sort of raising false expectations. Now, that could have been utterly sincere. He might have thought that his accession to the White House would change things in a fundamental way. I never did. I was proud to live in a country that would elect a black president. I would have chosen someone else. But nonetheless, it was a great moment. But that was never going to heal the racial divide. We have a history of 200 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, 50 years of what you might call civil rights emancipation. But it takes a lot longer than that. And the fundamentals of what is ailing in race relations, particularly having to do with the social conditions in which many inner-city blacks are living, are not going to change under one man. So that's the one thing where I give him something of a pass, simply because it was never in his power to change the fundamentals of race relations.
Mm-hmm. So when he comes out here tonight, this has got to be a sort of swan song for him. It's amazing when you see how young he looked in that videotape, right? And how much the presidency ages a man. But what do you think his goals ought to be?
Well, what he's going to do tonight, I think, is, number one, defend what he's done. He took a big hit from the Donald Trump convention speech, which painted a dystopian America, a wild in the street, crime in the streets, sort of out of control. And I think Obama has a reasonably good case that that's a gross exaggeration. For example, crime, violent crime, is down 50% over the last quarter century. Yes, there's been a minor uptick in the big cities over the last year or so, but fundamentally, the cities have been transformed. The crime rate has been radically reduced. So he'll want to make the case that we are not exactly living in a Blade Runner universe. On the other hand, I think what he's going to want to do is to try to essentially to boost the candidacy of the least popular Democratic candidate in memory, because he knows she's the one who'll carry on his legacy. And that I think he'll do in a way that's probably also sincere. She served him as his Secretary of State. And I think there's certain irony here. She's the one who made him wait 8 years to reach the White House if she does. And I think he wants to pay her back in some way, and also to bolster his own legacy.
He's the one who made her wait, right? Charles, great to see you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Joining us now with more, Katrina Pearson, the Trump campaign national spokesperson, and Bill Burton, former Obama White House Deputy Press Secretary. Great to see you both.
You too.
So let me just get first your reaction, Bill, to the two interviews we've done tonight with Paul Manafort on Trump Today and Charles on what we can expect from your former boss, President Obama. Your thoughts?
Well, first, Paul has a hard job to have to go out there and just say things that are flatly untrue or don't make any sense. When he calls what Donald Trump said a joke, I'm sympathetic because a lot of what he says is taken that way. But this is a very serious issue, and the presidency is a very serious thing. And you know, as the video earlier today showed, Harry Truman talking about the importance of the presidency is that you are making hard decisions every time you make a decision. And for someone to go out and joke about something so serious, that is so severe a breach of American diplomacy, of our national security, it's not funny. Like, that's the problem.
What do you make of it, Katrina? Because Trump himself told our own Brian Kilmeade today, it's going to air tomorrow on Fox and Friends, that he was being sarcastic, that it was, in essence, a joke.
Well, that's exactly why he included the last line of "the press will thank you for it." And this is not something new, Megyn, and you can check the tapes. There have been several rallies when we were talking about the email scandal and Hillary Clinton. Now we know from the FBI that she was actually in foreign nations who are hostile and known to hack with devices that were unsecure, using an insecure server, and then magically 33,000 emails disappeared, to which the FBI says, well, now we can't prove it.
She said she deleted those because they were personal and they were not.
That's what she said, but you and I both know if either one of us, anyone in this room, was to be investigated by the FBI for potential releasing
No, we'd all be in big trouble. And Loretta Lynch would not be having us on the airplane.
It's not even just big trouble, Megyn. They would have kicked your door down and confiscated. They wouldn't have asked you for the email.
But respond to Bill's point about how he shouldn't be joking about something like that.
Well, it wasn't really a joke per se. It was more tongue-in-cheek, like we've been saying, simply because that is the issue. Democrats were hacked. Their emails were released. Now today they've dumped voicemails. That is a very serious problem, and we keep hearing here at this convention that, oh, everything's okay, nothing to see here, move along, the economy's great, no one's hurting. And at the other same time, it's everything is bad. You know, white people are racist, cops are bad, we have to do something. The Democrats need to make up their mind. What they can no longer do because of this week is continue to lie to the American public and tell them things that they know are no longer true.
Bill, what do you make of it? Because this president has a big Joe Biden trying to appeal to the white working class in particular, but there's a reason for that. His numbers, Donald Trump's numbers, are very strong with that group of people. He is killing her. The numbers, do we have the poll in front of us to show how much he's beating her by? It's, I think, a 37-point difference with the white working class and the non-college educated. So how on earth, here it is, look at that, 61% over her 23%. How on earth does President Obama or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton, for that matter, turn that around?
Well, a couple things. For starters, there's an imbalance in both non-college educated and college educated Americans. And the reason that this race is so tight is that the gaps are as big on either side of that ledger. And if you look inside those numbers, white working class women are where the battlefield's going to be. I talked a little bit about this last night, and I truly believe that. As people learn more about these candidates, as they listen more about what Hillary Clinton's about versus what Donald Trump's about, they see that Donald Trump is about Donald Trump. And they see that Hillary Clinton has been fighting for working class people her entire life. Now, is she going to win white working class women or white working class men by huge margins in November? Probably not. But she probably is going to do a lot better than the polls suggest right now as Democrats consolidate and as we move into a new phase of this election.
Quickly.
But we were told that this election was going to be based upon the Latino vote. Hillary Clinton, instead of choosing a Latino, she chose an old white man who speaks Spanish. That is a slap in the face to Hispanic Americans who've been told this whole time how important their own votes are. Donald Trump.
Then who is Mike Pence?
Donald Trump.
Slap in the face.
I don't think Tim Kaine is going to like that.
Republicans aren't running on race. That's the difference.
All right, I got to leave it at that. Great to see you both.
Okay.
Also tonight, the Democrats have decided that they are going to win the White House with a big new push for gun control. And just FYI, the Pelosi soundbite, it wasn't a quote. She didn't actually say it the way we said it earlier. She said it a different way, and we're going to debate it. Stay tuned. Listen.
And they voted against their own economic interest because of guns, because of gays, and because of God, the 3 Gs.
God, guns, and gays. Really? Tucker Carlson and Richard Fowler have some thoughts on that. Plus, a bombshell in Baltimore where the prosecutor, Marilyn Mosby, drops all remaining charges in the death of Freddie Gray. And wait until you see what she said at her news conference.
Safety doesn't come in a